Welcome to the FPL Game Week 6 team review. But before that, let's look at a quick review of the FPL Game Week 5. 50 points, small green arrow, we'll take it, After all the red arrows, it's finally good to see some green. Couple of players really impressed with, so it was a decent week and hopefully we can keep building on that. But this game week, I've activated my wild card. It's been a long time coming. We haven't had an amazing start to FPL. But I've always eyed the wildcard as a perfect opportunity to get those players that I think are going to hit form. So I think this week just made sense with all the problems I had in my team. I had Gakpo, who's obviously a rotation risk now at Liverpool. I had Sar, rotation risk at Spurs. I had Salah, who I was not happy with. And a couple of other players that I wanted to get in my team. So we'll just go through the team and let's see. Very exciting to get the wildcard on. First wildcard of the season. Of course, the wildcard with the idea to bench boost, but I think it's a really, really good team and I'm really happy with it. And it will be interesting to see as well which players I've actually kept since my Game Week 1 team. And we'll see which picks have I got right, basically. In goal, David Raya. This is one of my picks from Game Week 1, so really happy to say that he still remains in the team. All the other goalkeepers, there's no clear, real options for me that I really like. And David Raya has been such a good keeper for me, getting really good points. And also, in my opinion, I've said is the best defense in the Premier League and will get you the most points. So to have a keeper like that to just have and stick with, I think is a perfect opportunity. So really happy with him. Obviously not the best fixture Newcastle away, but in the future he's definitely a keeper for the long term. And that's exactly what you want with the wild card. In the defense, I'm really liking the defense. I've got his Arsenal teammate, first of all, Jurriën Timber. I wanted really badly to get one of the Arsenal fullbacks, so it was either Calafiori or Timber. Since Game Week 1, it seems they're really nailed. Of course, there's opportunities for Lewis Kelly and Ben White to come to the starting 11, but it seems whenever Arteta can, he will play these two guys every time. And he has done every time this season, bar the first game. And Timber, in my opinion, is more attacking than Calafiori. He obviously did have his mega haul, but aside that, he does look like the more attacking fullback. Calafiori is more defensively solid. He'll invert, but he won't really get as much attacking opportunities. Timber is good on set pieces. He has a cross on him. He makes those overlapping runs. So I think really good. And I love the Arsenal defense. So to get more involved in it is just perfect for me, I think, in my opinion. Next to him, I've got a player that I never thought I would get, but he's in my team at the moment. Is Virgil van Dijk. Obviously, Liverpool haven't been the best defensively. But Van Dijk has been really, really good for defensive contribution points. And with the quality Liverpool have and the stature of their team, it's just inevitable that they do end up getting better defensively. Of course, I've seen the next three fixtures and I don't like them. But from a defensive contribution point of view, I think it's really good for Van Dijk. So he's been a really good scoring defender and I had to cover the Liverpool in some way. So the only concern is that they haven't been a good defense so far. But Van Dijk has shown he's very good for defensive contribution points, so I really like that pick. Alongside him to complete an excellent defense, I've got Pedro Porro, another one since Game Week 1. I've looked at, I've scouted, I'm like, okay, this guy looks really good, I want him in my team. And now finally he's here. It's really good to have him in a really good fixture this week. Hopefully, his past performances, he hasn't got the points to show for it. So that's why a lot of people won't go for him, but I've seen him. The eye test is there, the data is there. And hopefully, in FPL, that's what you have to do. You have to go for those picks that you think will get points in the future. And Pedro Porro is one. And then if we're going to look at the defense on the bench, because I've got a bit of a rotation, I have Daniel Munoz, who I've really rated. Every week he's got points for me, bar last week. I really like his attacking threat. Palace's defense is really good. And I think big at the back is a real strategy, as we've seen this season with the defensive contribution points and the unreliable midfielders and attackers. So I think to go big in the back is looking really good. So Munoz is the one I'm really happy with and I just wanted my team. Alongside him, the 4 million defender, I've gone for Goodmanson. So it's Goodmanson instead of Estev. Goodmanson, in my opinion, I think Leeds are more solid defense, even though both are really solid defensively. I think Leeds are more likely to keep those clean sheets with their home form that they have. So that's why I've gone for him. Plus, he has more attacking potential and defensive contribution potential. So I went for him instead of Esteb, but he completes the defense on the bench. And who knows, he got me points last week, 4-pointer, so he could find himself somehow in the starting 11, but we do have 4 really good defenders. Into the midfield, this is where it gets really spicy. First of all, we have one player who I mentioned a couple of weeks ago as a really good pick and a guy to get ahead of the average FPL player, and a guy who's on hot form. It's Phil Foden. I saw him in the Arsenal and the United game. He was just so good, running the game, playing really well. And now he's got a couple of starts under his belt. He is obviously still a slight rotation risk, but it shows that Pep has trust in him. And whenever he does play, he's going to play really well and get so many points. So that's one I would definitely go for. And if we look at his performances a couple of seasons ago, he was the highest scoring FPL player 2 years ago. So don't treat him as an unknown species. He's really well known and well popular guy in the FPL world, but people aren't going on to him yet because he hasn't hauled yet, but he will, and you have to jump on him before the curve. Another one that is similar to him in vein, who's another player who's really on hot form, and I really like the way he looks from an eye test point of view and playing for a team that's looking good, is Jeremy Doku. He's looked really good both games I watched. United, he looked excellent. Arsenal, he looked excellent, but he didn't get the points. And it's not that I'm tripling up because of this fixture of Burnley at home. I don't think Burnley at home is an excellent fixture. I think it's an okay fixture, but I think Burnley, as we saw against Liverpool, they can play really well defensively and become really well disciplined. And I think even they showed that against Spurs, when they play against Spurs in game week 1. But the thing is, what Spurs did, what Liverpool didn't, is Spurs scored early on. So and they obviously didn't have the frustration of the Burnley crowd kind of cheering them on. So if City were to get an early goal, then that's when the floodgates open and Burnley don't have to stick with their plan. But it with the quality City have, it should be inevitable, and the form that they're on, that they do get the breakthrough early on. But if they don't, that's when it starts to go into Burnley's favour, as they can just because the whole game the Burnley players will just have 11 men behind the ball, aim for the 0-0 draw. If City score 1, the tactics are going to have to change. They're going to have to get the goal, because whether they lose 1 or 5, they've lost. So they're going to go for it eventually. So, not the best fixture on paper, but it is the best fixture. It's a complicated one. In my eyes, it's not an excellent fixture, but I want these players for the long term. So even though City go and only win 1-0 against Burnley, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a mistake to pick Foden and Doku, because I think they're excellent players in the long term, in the next few game weeks. Alongside them in the midfield, I've got a player who's really been popular so far, because credit to him, he's looked really good on the eye test. He has really good data. He has the points to go along with it. It's Antoine Semenyo, playing for a team that's looking really good. His data has always been good. He's always been a notable good FPL pick, but he's never actually been in my team. But I think it's time to stop ignoring the obvious. Sometimes in FPL you can fall into this trap where you don't want to follow the crowd, so you don't go for the obvious move, even though the obvious move is the right move. So this was another case. Semenyo is the right move, even though he's very popular. Everyone's backing him. If you haven't seen him play, he's really involved in Bournemouth's play. He's on penalties. Bournemouth's really good attacking side. So I think it's a no-brainer to go for him, and it's not a bad price. To complete the midfield is my personal pick that I had in my team last week, and I watched him and I really liked him from an eye test point of view. I really like the team he plays for. I really like his price point. Is Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. I think he could have a massive impact this season, and he did get the 12-pointer against Wolves, but I still think he hasn't hit the ground running. I still think he has potential to do more. And with this kind of bench boost kind of plan, I have the options to bench him in weeks I don't want to play him. But like this week against West Ham at home, I really back him in this fixture. And I back him in so many more fixtures. Based on what I've seen from an eye test point of view, he looks really dangerous. He looks really involved. He looks really confident. So I really like that. One thing to note though about him is that he's on 4 yellows. So 1 more and he gets banned. But obviously if you're like me and you have the cover on the bench, it's definitely worth it. And so many times we see players stay on 4 yellows for ages. But that's one I look really good, especially at the price point. I think he's too good. Up front, again, 2 players who have stayed in my team, known week in, week out, is Victor Gyökeres and Erling Haaland. First discussing Victor Gyökeres. I thought I highlighted his Forest performance as a notable, really good performance, and one that I thought he really, he's now confident, he's looking good, he's embedded into the system. And then the game after that, who did we play? City, obviously. City and Atletico Bilbao. He just didn't look really on it. Maybe because it was very tactical games, he wasn't really able to get into it much, not get many touches. So we'll see how it goes. But the Forest game, I thought he looked really good. I thought he could have got a hat trick easily if he stayed the full game. But also, I'm heading to really good fixtures after the Newcastle game, and you're gonna want an attacker. And if we look at the midfield, everyone is a rotation risk basically, except the striker, the main man up top, Victor Gyökeres. So he's definitely an option for me. Next, Erling Haaland, of course, no brainer. He's the best premium option. I've had him since game week 1. Been excellent. A goal again against Arsenal is just inevitable. Will he play this week? I don't know, but I feel like on the wild card, he would be a huge risk not to go for him if he does play. Because if he does play, his ceiling is so high. Obviously, don't think it's triple captain territory because how I explained how I think well Burnley defend and how well Scott Parker knows how to play these games and his experience and the other players that they have. So I prefer. At the beginning of the season, I did mention this as a triple captain week, but that's before we saw Burnley embedded to the Premier League and how they play their game. So I think it'd be better to aim for a Wolves at home fixture or a Leeds even rather than the Burnley, especially we're unsure if he's going to play or not. Then alongside him, the third striker making up the striker line, a player who I haven't had, and he's punished me so much. And I'm really happy to finally have him because he's a quality player, quality FPL asset, is João Pedro. So he's playing his former team this week. Hopefully he can get some points. And of course, I've been, nervous every time I watch him play whenever he's playing because he always looks so dangerous and he always looks like he can haul every single week. So really happy to have João Pedro on the team, and that's the overall 11. That's the wildcard team. Obviously, there could be 1 or 2 changes, but very unlikely. I'm really liking how the team's looking. And hopefully, we're going to get more green arrows. We're just outside the top 1 million, and hopefully, we break into it. And let's see how it goes.